at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com how a Victoria County mom is picking up the pieces after flooding forced her family out.
Serious charges are filed against 3 women following a traffic stop in Wharton County.
Plus, Governor Abbott signs off on a plan that would mean big savings for Texas business owners.
We'll have a fairly quiet weather week, but we will pop a few little of those afternoon showers. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And the UAL revealed their latest rankings for the Lone Star Cup there. We had a couple there in the top 5 and top 25. We'll reveal who those are later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Brubaker.
With the rain clearing up, some residents are stuck with long-lasting damage from last week's flooding rain.
25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with one resident who's mopping up the mess in her home.
Being a single mom, it's hard.
Victoria County resident Monica Delgado not only has 3 children to care for, but she's having to find a new place to stay after her home flooded on June 12th. There's noticeable damage to the lower area, as well as a missing door handle and a missing lock. She says she'll do anything to keep a roof over her children's heads.
I have the strength, despite anything that has been put before me, that Mama's gonna do any and everything in her power to make it happen.
She's grateful that her children are alive, as she reminds people to count their blessings. Delgado didn't have insurance and knows it'll take time to clean up the mess.
Just don't be afraid to ask for help.
Delgado is looking to find a place near her job so that she can be close to her children. Ray Mosley, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
Delgado says she has contacted her landlord, but they claim they don't see any damage. She says she's not backing down and is still pushing hard to get it fixed.
A Wharton man faces 2 charges of aggravated sexual assault of a child. After getting a call, Wharton County deputies arrested 70-year-old Zosimo Kasugo. Deputies determined there was probable cause to arrest Kasugo. He is in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of $100,000 bond. 3 women from the Rio Grande Valley face felony drug charges in Wharton County. Deputies, with the help of the U.S. Border Patrol, stopped a white Nissan SUV on U.S. Highway 59 North near FM 102 in Wharton. A search of the vehicle found 63 pounds of cocaine hidden. 54-year-old Sylvia Luque of McAllen, 59-year-old Maria del Castillo of Mission, and 66-year-old Maria Ortiz of McAllen were arrested on felony drug charges and engaging in organized criminal activity. They are in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of bonds totaling $1.6 million.
Bloomington Stronger Together is meeting tonight. The meeting will start at 6:30 at the VFW Hall in Bloomington. This is video from a previous meeting. The group will discuss the upcoming water board election, the creation of a Little League team, and the setup of a post office box for the newly established city of Bloomington. Community members are welcome to join, and we'll have a report on tonight's meeting on 25 News Now at 10.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton asked for a new execution date for Robert Roberson. A judge could set a new execution date for no sooner than 90 days from now, though Roberson has a pending appeal. Roberson's execution was delayed last year after his case became a political lightning rod that shook up the state's judicial system. Roberson was convicted of capital murder in 2003 for the death of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki, who was diagnosed with shaken baby syndrome. He has maintained his innocence over 2 decades on death row. Texas health officials report 8 new measles cases in its latest update. The number of cases reported in Texas now rises to 750. Of those, 97 patients have been hospitalized. Health officials confirmed that the spread is slowing in Gaines County, the center of the outbreak. Fewer than 10 cases are believed to be actively infectious. 484 of the cases are in children 17 years old and younger. New STAR test scores show slight improvement in grades 3 through 8. STAR scores show Texas students made gains in reading, but they struggle with math. The results showed 5 years after pandemic-related school closures, students are still struggling to catch up in math. About 43% of students met grade level standards for math. It's a 2 percentage point increase from the previous year, but still shy of the 50% reached in 2019. Texas quietly defunded its border wall construction program. State officials suggested the federal government could pick up construction. The Texas Tribune reports just 8% of the 805 miles the state identified for construction is complete. That has cost taxpayers more than $3 billion to date. Lawmakers say none of the $3.4 billion approved for ongoing border security efforts will go toward the wall. Instead, the funds will go largely to the Texas DPS and Texas National Guard. Well, the sun is back if you haven't noticed, but rain may be coming back too.
Yeah, hopefully not the rain like we saw last week, though. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez for a first look at the forecast. And Mac, these are much lighter showers than what we have seen here recently.
Yes, last week, obviously, the big rain that was caused by an upper air storm system. This, well, I just call it garden variety, little afternoon showers driven by heating. There you see Victoria. You can see a couple of little showers up and down the Highway 59. Other than that, we are looking for lots of heat and humidity. The increase of showers will be by this weekend, though, and we'll be talking more about that coming up in just a few minutes. And we'll also be taking a look at the tropics. All that in a moment.
Governor Abbott has signed several new bills aimed at helping small businesses grow in Texas, including faster filings, fewer local regulations, and expanded tax breaks. He called the move a win for entrepreneurs and praised Fort Worth's role in boosting the state's economy. That's where he signed the bills. Governor Abbott also signed on Monday 3 bills aimed at cutting property taxes. The new laws boost exemptions for homeowners, seniors, and small businesses. Voters must now approve a constitutional amendment this November for those cuts to take effect. Meanwhile, Abbott's also under pressure to decide on a bill that could ban THC products. He has got until June 22nd to act. Here is our viewer poll today. How much do property taxes impact your household or business budget? A lot, somewhat, very little, not at all. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And from the 5 p.m. newscast until now, so just about an hour ago, a lot has jumped from 70% to 82%.
It's jumped a lot.
Yes, it's jumped a lot. And not at all has gone down significantly as well. So continue voting. We'll have another look at the numbers on 25 News Now at 10.
Amazon says its workforce could shrink in the coming years because of artificial intelligence. In a note to employees, CEO Andy Jassy said AI is now capable of handling more jobs at the company, and that will likely lead to job losses. Some positions may shift or evolve into different roles, but Jassy warned that not all jobs will transfer. Amazon is planning to spend more than $100 billion over the next decade on data centers that support AI, and the company has a growing presence in Austin. 88 children attending a church camp in Iowa are now in protective custody. Police are reportedly conducting a human trafficking investigation after reports of child abuse and endangerment at the Kingdom Ministry of Rehab and Recreation. Victor Bowie, the minister's son, says no camp leaders were arrested. He says a 15-year-old from Texas called authorities because he did not want to be there. Deputies say the children were put under a temporary foster care until they could be returned to their guardians.
Remember to subscribe to our Crossroads Today YouTube channel. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can also see all of our news on YouTube. Well, after industry pushback, DHS is changing its stance on immigration worksite raids, what it means for workers and businesses. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6.
Also ahead today is a major anniversary for one of the greatest symbols of the U.S.
For the fifth day in a row, Israel and Iran are trading strikes with civilians in flashpoint areas, facing waves of attacks.
President Trump says that the ongoing conflict is what prompted him to leave the G7 summit early.
President Donald Trump is back here at the White House after abruptly leaving the G7 summit in Canada. He was originally slated to stay longer, but as the conflict between Israel and Iran was intensifying, he told reporters at the summit, "I have to be back as soon as I can." The White House confirmed his plans for an early departure, writing, quote, "because of what's going on in the Middle East." On Air Force One, the president told reporters he's seeking, quote, "a real end to the conflict between Israel and Iran," arguing that would be preferable to a ceasefire, while also suggesting his patience for negotiations is wearing thin.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
And then a real end, not a ceasefire. And then
So something that would be permanent.
or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
The president met with members of his national security team in the Situation Room Tuesday, just hours after he returned. While there are conflicting reports on how developed Iran's nuclear capabilities are, Trump says he believes Iran was on the verge of obtaining a nuclear weapon when Israel struck last week. Israel has been pressing Trump to become more involved in its campaign to dismantle Iran's nuclear facilities, which top officials from the country have said would require American planes and weapons. At the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The Department of Homeland Security is reversing course on immigration raids at work sites. Monday, ICE told field offices to continue worksite raids, including at farms, hotels, and restaurants. That's a shift from guidance issued just days earlier after pressure from industry leaders who rely on migrant labor. President Trump said he'd heard from business owners that crackdowns were driving away good workers. He promised policy changes were on the way. The man accused of killing Democrat Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband remains behind bars today. The couple's two children say they are devastated and heartbroken.
Vance Bolter is also accused of shooting a Minnesota state senator and his wife. Now we're hearing from the woman who helped police track him down. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the latest.
Today, new details emerging in the shooting of two lawmakers in Minnesota, what officials have called political assassinations.
We have an arrest warrant.
Authorities arresting 57-year-old Vance Bolter after a two-day manhunt. Wendy Thomas now describing the moment she spotted Bolter and called the police.
When he got to the culvert, he squatted. And so I was like, "That's Dad, that's somebody." He said, "Hang up and call somebody."
Bolter now facing federal and state charges, including murder, stalking, and firearms charges. He has not yet entered a plea. Officials say he was carrying a target list of 45 lawmakers, nearly all of them Democrats. Bolter accused of shooting two of those lawmakers and their spouses at their homes, one couple fatally. Officials say he first went to the home of State Senator John Hoffman, shooting him and his wife, then continuing to State Representative Melissa Hortman's home, shooting and killing her and her husband before fleeing on foot.
It is no exaggeration to say that his crimes are the stuff of nightmares.
New images released from the crime scene showing who authorities believe is Bolter wearing a latex face mask the night of the shootings, the guns found in his car. Officials saying Bolter planned these attacks carefully, taking, quote, deliberate steps to research his victims. Documents showing Bolter texted his family the morning of the shootings, writing, quote, Dad went to war last night. Monday night, the Brooklyn Park community coming together for a vigil. Neighbors and good friends of the lawmakers also gathering.
He was courageous enough that when the perpetrator tried to get into his home, John recognized it, and he physically tried to defend his family. You don't see that a lot.
Hortman's children have released a new statement saying, quote, this tragedy must become a moment for us to come together. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, New York.
Two Texas lawmakers were allegedly named on the suspects' hit list. Congresswoman Veronica Escobar of El Paso and Joaquin Castro of San Antonio. Texas DPS remains alert and is taking extra steps to protect lawmakers across the state. President Trump says he is not planning to call Minnesota Governor Tim Walz after the deadly shooting targeting state lawmakers. Speaking from Air Force One, Trump called Walz, quote, a mess, who, quote, doesn't have a clue, saying a call would just be a waste of time. Normally, presidents reach out to officials after tragedies like this. The suspect, Vance Bolter, was even reappointed by Walz in a state workforce board back in 2019.
The Statue of Liberty has long been America's symbol of freedom and democracy, and today marks an important anniversary. 140 years ago, on June 17, 1885, the statue, not yet assembled, arrived in crates on America's shore. The statue was a gift from France to honor the two countries' alliance during the American Revolution. Workers spent the next 4 months building the Statue of Liberty on Liberty Island in New York City. The statue stands 305 feet tall and is similar to the height of a 22-story building. Of course, Lady Liberty holds a torch in one hand, and the other hand, she holds a tablet engraved with the date, July 4th, 1776.
That must have been some monstrosity of crates for them to ship it over the seas like that. Anyway, folks, we're looking at 90 degrees right about now. Fairly quiet day. The breeze was good. That sort of helped out. Our high was at 92, the overnight low at 72. That's about where we're supposed to be. Now, we've got 1 or 2 little garden variety showers in the early part of the week, but it does increase in the rain chance as we get to the weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. This time of the year, we start getting, into the 90s. That's our average, and so we're going to be doing that kind of average. It's generally a quiet week, except for 1 or 2 little of these pop-up showers that you see right there, but they last for about 10 minutes, and that's about the extent of it. As we get, however, closer to the weekend, we're going to get what we call an easterly wave, which is basically a surge of tropical moisture that may increase that rain chance. But remember, last week we had what we call upper air support. In other words, remember, see this dip right here? That dip was right across Texas like this, and that was really sparking all that severe weather that rolled through and caused that flooding. That dip is now gone, so all we have is now building high pressure on top of it. So the storms that do build, they'll sort of top about halfway up and then just stay as little showers, as opposed to going up into the really cold part of the atmosphere and picking up hail and lightning and all that stuff. So fairly quiet week, but it's going to be quite muggy. In fact, we're going to be topping out at about 105 throughout most of the week, so we're calling that very humid, and that's what we expect. The Guadalupe River down south between Bloomington and the San Antonio Bay should be in out of its bank, so it's in a warning stage. But however, that's not a an area where a lot of people are going in and around. It's a little bit away from the roadway, so that'll be good. Other than that, most of our rivers have come back into banks, except in far east Texas, where they've been getting a lot more rain since last week. Overnight low temperatures getting down to the mid 70s, so yeah, not a lot of cooling at night, and daytime highs getting up to about 92 for us, 92 Hallettsville, 92 out in Goliad, and about 95 along the I-37 corridor. Down south, now this is not a direct relation to us, but it just gives you an idea of how busy the tropics are going to be. We have Tropical Storm Eric. Eric right now is strengthening and will likely become a hurricane tomorrow. And then here's the bad news. It's going to be turning into land. So generally, you know, they move out to sea, no problem. But this one is going to be coming ashore somewhere south of Acapulco. Now, here is Acapulco. And of course, this area is very mountainous, the state of Guerrero. And you can see how it's coming ashore as about a 1, a strong 1, maybe a 2. And then it sort of falls apart here. I'm not saying it's going to be clear and blue in Acapulco, but it's not going to be a direct hit, and the storm is going to fall apart in this area where they're likely to get, I don't know, 10, 20 inches of rain. So, and because of the mountainous areas, that's where you get the flash flooding. And so I hope, everybody's getting the word down there. For us, high pressure, which is over the southwest, is going to be building back up into our area, as that trough moves away. So that gives us a capped atmosphere. It's limited rain, and we are looking for, of course, the potential for just a few little showers. Afternoon high temperatures about 90 degrees, about 91, 92 in the Cuero area. We're going to be looking at just kind of daily afternoon little showers popping all the way through the weekend, and then increasing somewhat by the time we get to Monday. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. Well, it's hurricane season, and when the storm hits, what do you do when the power goes out? Will your family be ready? Stay storm ready with Aztec Ford in Goliad. We're giving you a chance to win a free generator. That's that big blue thing over there on the right side of your picture there. And that generator will keep your home powered when you need it most. It's quick, it's easy, and it could be saving you a lot if the lights go out in the next storm. So go to crossroadstoday.com now and register for Storm Ready Power Giveaway, proudly sponsored by Aztec Ford in Goliad. Click on the menu on Crossroads, the top left. You'll see a entertainment tab, then go to contests and look for that graphic that you see there where it says Storm Ready Power, and enter your name, and that we'll see who wins that in about a couple of weeks. We've got about 2 more weeks for you to get on there and sign up. That is your forecast. We'll toss it over to Shawna.
All right, thank you, Mac. Now we send it over to Max Williams for a look at what's coming up in sports.
Yeah, Shawna, Northeast Little League, they're looking to make a run back to the World Series there from last summer. So I'll tell you how the team is currently doing right now, coming up in sports. All right, Cross, today the UIL revealed their current up-to-date Lone Star Cup ranks for the entire state of Texas, and we had 2 teams that were in the top 5. Then we had 1 team out there in the top 25, so 2 teams that were in the top 5 were both in the 2A ranks, with Shiner Comanches and Ganado Indians. Shiner was currently in second place. They got 58 points, and Ganado is right behind there in 56 points. And again, for both of these teams, they went all the way to the state championship, both football and softball for both of these teams. They're right now currently behind Shelbyville, who has 63 points there in in the 2A ranks. And then we have one team right now there in the 3A, which is Goliad. They're currently tied right now in 24th with 36 points. And again, probably remembered Goliad volleyball this past year, won the state title. They had a tough one against the Bushland Falcons. So congrats to all these three teams currently right now. We're not going to know until they update the softball and baseball rankings, and that'll be up there going into July. But how about over to Victoria Northeast Little League, where they played against Calhoun last night and they won there. So now they're waiting now to face, because now the winner of Calhoun Victoria Southwest, that game's going to happen tonight at Riverside Stadium at 8 o'clock. And whoever wins that game will face Victoria Northeast, and they will play tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. there, tomorrow afternoon at Riverside. And this team last summer for Victoria Northeast went all the way to the World Series there in South Carolina. They're hoping to see if they can make that magic run there going into this season. In order to do that, they're going to have to win there tomorrow's game from the winner of tonight's game to get that destination. And so now over to Victoria Generals, where yesterday they promoted a great idea about making very own spokesperson here in the area, Gary Moses, a night at the ballpark. I wanted to see how everyone felt about this locally here online. They came to answer this with massive support. They got about 1,300 people in the area to get that there for that night at the ballpark. And guess what? It's going to happen. It's going to be there Sunday, July 6th. There. It'll be at 7:05 p.m. at Riverside Stadium. AV Interiors will be sponsoring that game there on that Sunday as well. So props up there for the community, getting a little cause there for Gary Moses. They're in that one. But speaking of the Generals, for tonight's action, they're going to face the Brazos Valley Bombers there on the road. It'll be at 7 p.m. The Generals looking to get back playing baseball there on Sunday, because that game was canceled due to the rain. So they're trying to get back in the flow of things, see if they can get that win over Brazos Valley. They're in this one. Over to Goliad Softball. They revealed assistant softball coach Lee Price was named the THCA Assistant Softball Coach of the Year. Also, Ganado had two representatives there, and head coach James Harp and assistant Matthew Irvin. So congrats to Price, Harp, and Irvin winning top coach of the year honors from this past softball season for all those teams. Now over there to MLB, where the Texas Rangers are hosting the Kansas City Royals tonight there at Globe Life Park there in Arlington, Texas. And that first pitch will be at 7:05 p.m. The Rangers looking to keep pace with other Texas teams as well. And that other Texas team right there is the Astros. The Astros have a couple-game lead there over the Texas Rangers. They're playing game 2 of that series versus the A's there tonight, playing in Sacramento. If you remember, again, not the Oakland A's there anymore. They're going to be going to Vegas there soon. But the Astros, they lost last night's contest there 3-1 there against the A's. Looking to rebound there tonight there on the road. That first pitch will be at 9:05 p.m. We'll have up-to-date scores for both of those games later for our 10 p.m. newscast. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don and Shawna, back to you.
Max, thank you. We're back in a moment. A wild pony is saved after a volunteer fire company comes to its aid. Finally tonight, a volunteer fire company in Virginia rescued a wild pony foal born missing a rear hoof. Horses with a defect like that would normally be euthanized, but with the help of a prosthetic, this foal may have a chance at a healthy life. The fire company took her out of the wild, bandaged her leg, and introduced her to a mare that reportedly lost her own foal weeks ago. Way to go. All right, the Hurricane Tracking Guide 2025 is here. Stay prepared and stay safe. Pick up your free copy at these locations: Fulopep in Cuero, El Campo Cycle Center, Palace Bingo in Victoria, Coastal Bend College in Beeville, Went Services in Victoria, Victoria All Sports, and Aztec Ford in Goliad. Don't wait. Get yours today. And if they had one, they'd be making little X's around South Mexico, I guess.
Yeah, the
right?
Pacific is getting very active in the tropics. The Atlantic, so far, so good. We've got a few garden variety showers to expect for the afternoon hours during the early part of this week. The rain chances might actually increase, but I don't see any severe weather this week at all.
Thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight at 10.